If there was a scorecard, I think I would think ByteDance has got an edge over Trump. That's my.
Alvin, 45 days now. It's unbelievable. Today, TikTok and WeChat will be banned from app stores in the United States. Give us a scorecard for 45 days. How do you think ByteDance and Tencent have fought this war?
I mean, from my standpoint, I think there are two ways of looking at it. Right at this point of time, if I look at purely, what has actually transpired, I mean, the deal doesn't make any sense. I mean, for all that has gone through, right? And then you get to a situation where now Oracle, Walmart will take 20% of the company, and then ByteDance owns 80%. Then now, obviously, Trump says, okay, let's go ahead. I mean, what's the problem? Does it solve the initial challenge of security and also privacy concern? I don't think it solved anything. I mean, if you look from a standpoint of Trump may have won in a sense that now I get access into TikTok 20%. I force someone to sell something to me. So it seems like, it's one up for Trump. But on the other hand, if you look from ByteDance standpoint, they could have gone completely dark and lost the entire American market, right? But instead, right, they end up with 80% and still having very good partners at Oracle and also Walmart to continue their global rollout. So I think both sides right now, to me, the deal doesn't make a lot of sense. But in some way, Trump won, and in many ways, I think ByteDance has won. So if there was a scorecard, I think I would think ByteDance has got an edge over Trump. That's my take. But it doesn't make sense. I don't think the deal served. I mean, we wasted like 45 days, and today, right, it's going to be a situation where well, at least they're going to extend TikTok, another end of the month for the entire deal to be processed. And obviously, WeChat is going, I think they're gonna take out all the WeChats and download from all the app stores.
Tencent, all what we hear over the past 45 days has been basically a void. A couple of press releases, but we don't hear any public actions to try to tackle the issue. From Chinese perspective, what has Tencent done?
I think they have been very quiet. To be candid with you, they've been very quiet. In fact, they didn't make much announcement, and also because number one, WeChat it's actually very small. It has got a very small. I mean, the revenue impact to Tencent, if it is just closing the entire American market, is actually very tiny. They're probably more concerned about being shut down on the gaming side than anything else, right? So I think the reason why they've been keeping quiet is because the impact is very small, and they are relying. I think they are probably relying more on the American enterprise to be making noise for them instead of them making noise, because the impact to the U.S. enterprises in China, if WeChat is being instructed to be taken down, I think impact is a lot greater. Can you imagine companies like Starbucks, Apple, and so forth, right, do not have access to WeChat? I mean, they are not only selling through WeChat, they are also in CRM on WeChat, advertising on WeChat. The entire ecosystem of their platform is marketing platform is actually built on top of WeChat. So I think Tencent is quite natural for them to stay quiet and let the American enterprise do the have that conversation with the government.
Well, one company that is definitely going to be very visible is Ant Group, right? And they have their IPO coming up, dual listing, Shanghai, the Star Board, where you are in Shanghai, Alvin, and Hong Kong as well. The timing of the IPO is still not known, but it could be one of the biggest that we have ever seen. What's your take on that?
Well, I think, this is one company. This is probably going to be the largest. I think it's going to be the largest IPO, surpassing the previous one, raising no less than 20 billion. I mean, that's what we have been reading. And I think, on IPO, my forecast is that because there's so many people trying to get onto Ant Financial, and also you will see a lot of money that's going to rush into on day one when it goes IPO, and that you see this IPO popping really high. I can't quote names, but I know a lot of investors right now are actually pulling money together to jump onto the IPO. So I expect this to be a very successful IPO on day one.
And it could make Star really shine because the exchange has only been in operation for 1 year now. And this is also part of the geopolitical debate because a lot of companies are now kind of seeking China or Asia based IPOs, right? With the US-China trade tensions and everything that is going on. And obviously Star for Chinese companies would be the #1 place to go to, at least for startups and unicorns.
I mean, the stock, in collaboration with Hong Kong is definitely an alternative. I still think that, I know there's tension. Well, there's still tension between US and also China. America, listing in America is still a very elite thing. It's still very premium thing for companies. But this serves as an alternative. You never know what's going to happen moving forward, right? But I think moving forward, you're going to see opportunity for companies, right, to really relook into, opportunity to list in Hong Kong or even on the Star. And I think this is going to be moving forward. A lot of companies are going to jump onto this opportunity for following Ant Group.
So
Okay.
Alipay and WeChat Pay has been the dominant players in China's digital payment space. ByteDance is entering the race as of 2 weeks ago. How is the place going to play out?
Well, I won't discount. I won't definitely not discount ByteDance. They are a very prominent players, and also because of the fact that they have been so good in actually developing new product lines and having sufficient user base on Toutiao and also on Douyin, which is the local version for TikTok. I'm not surprised that they will be one of the contender for at least the third largest player at some point. ByteDance is also gradually moving into e-commerce. They are trying to now secure TikTok, the local Douyin, the local being Douyin, right, into the space where they are actually moving into securing it and making it a closed ecosystem. So having a mobile payment and payment to go with it, right, will close the loop, right, for ByteDance. That at least they have sufficient user base, right, to actually create a sizable payment market for themselves.
How big an impact does the ban of TikTok have on the parent company ByteDance?
Well, the US is right now, in terms of market size, I think it's probably one of the largest in terms of revenue. So the impact is actually, again, it depends on whether it's valuation or whatever. But the valuation that they're talking about is at least 10 to 20 billion. So you could see if 10 to 20 billion was the valuation versus ByteDance, close to 100 billion. So you're really talking about 10 to 15% of actually impact if TikTok goes dark in the US. So it's actually very important and key, right, to that TikTok continues to run in the US, and hopefully this arrangement or the so-called partnership with Oracle and also Walmart, which Trump has just this morning approved it, right? That will take them through, and hopefully they will seek an IPO at some point, which they intend to value some $60 billion US. So I think it's very sizable and a market that ByteDance needs to at least stay in business and stay in running to be competitive.
It's one thing US President Trump approves it. It's the other if Chinese government approves it. Do you think there is a chance that Chinese government will approve this deal?
Well, the Chinese government has made it very clear that they do not want to be mess around in a sense that I think Trump has approved it. I think it's now back to the Chinese government table, and from my standpoint, I don't think it's an easy approval from China, because the last thing that China wants is that to take the cue from the US government, which is actually Trump. So I think now the ball is back to again China. Not sure whether it's going to be stamped by the government, but I'm quite certain it's not an easy approval. Not easy.
I agree.
We've just talked about the IPO of Ant Financial, but you mentioned ByteDance IPO obviously is the next big thing that is coming up, most likely, and would probably even be bigger than Ant Financial's IPO. So the listing pipeline seems to be really exciting in the next couple of months and years. The market sources that you talk to, and I know you have excellent contacts, what do they say? Can we expect a ByteDance IPO anytime in 2021, maybe?
They haven't actually given any date yet. The plan is they're working towards an IPO sometime next year. And I think it's going to be very similar to Ant Group, where you're going to see a dual listing, in one in China and the other one in Hong Kong. And it makes sense for them because they also want to tap into the global market, and having a listing in Hong Kong helps them very much. Yeah, we're definitely going to look at a very sizable IPO. I'm not sure whether it's going to be the scale of Ant Group, but I'm very certain it's going to be a very sizable IPO at some point.
And most likely attract a lot of American investors as well, despite the ban on TikTok.
Alvin.
Well, if you look at Ant Group, the underwriters are actually American investment banker. I'm not going to name them, but I'm sure you probably have read them. So there may be a lot of tension, but at the end of the day, it's quite obvious that a lot of American companies and also a lot of American investors are actually investing into Ant Group. It's not an opportunity that they want to miss.
I want to ask you also about artificial intelligence, Alvin, and I know you're also an expert on that. So the former Google CEO, Eric Schmidt, came out a couple of days ago, saying that artificial intelligence will be coming from China in the future, that China is going to be the global leader. What's your take on the latest developments on AI, especially because you also work on AI when it comes to blockchain and new technologies and innovation and so on?
Right. Now, when you talk about leadership in AI, China has been a leader in AI in terms of, I'll break them into two. Yeah? Now, when we look into research of AI, US has been in the forefront. They've been in doing research and development on AI for a long time. They are ahead in a sense because they have got all the good talents that are, researchers, scientists that have been doing AI, for years already. AI is not something new; it's been around for a long time. So they are in the forefront. But in terms of execution, usage of AI, applying AI, I dare say that China is in the forefront. And leading in a sense
that the Chinese government has basically released this plan, right? And a government policy, which means they will execute it to become AI global leader by 2025. And I think Beijing just rolled out the first blockchain-based government system, in the capital as well. So whether it's AI or blockchain, I mean, just the new innovation progress is just tremendous.
I mean, a lot of China's, when you look at, AI and also blockchain, they're always, pushing it very hard. They want to be, technology leaders in several areas. AI being one, you name the other one, blockchain, autonomous driving, and also in the future. So they are looking at several things. And not only, and these policies, right, has also helped because a lot of companies, when they plan ahead, right, they always look at the 5 years planning of the government. So by looking at the 5 years economic planning, you then can strategize, in alignment with that. Because if you're in line with the government, you tend to get more help from the government in a sense because the government is also pushing in the same direction. The last thing that you want to do is going against the government, right? So by looking at the 5 years plan, the AI plan, and the blockchain plan, right, you can see fintech companies developing around blockchain. You can see companies, going into AI, right, in a big way and applying, and also because China has got Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, you name all these companies, right, who are sitting on a lot of data. And when you look at data, data is the fuel that fuels AI. I mean, you can have all the AI technology that without data, there's no fuel. That you can't build anything on AI. So with the proliferation of so much data, that you can see companies using AI to build new services, new platforms, right? And again, obviously, new applications into the future.
Alvin, Huawei. What are the options left on Huawei's table to have a breakthrough in this?
Well, the chairman of Huawei said it very clear. I mean, it's really survival. I mean, the objective right now is to survive. It's definitely not easy times for Huawei, in view of the fact that they're being strangled by the restriction placed by Trump and the government of the United States. I think, looking positively, I think Huawei will find a way out. I'm quite certain they are blessed with lots of talents. They are blessed with a lot of technology stacks. The only thing that they are now, having a bit of a pain is not having access to the hardware. But I think this is a problem that they will eventually resolve, and that will also force Huawei in a way that they will have to learn to be more self-sufficient. And moving forward, you will see a much more stronger Huawei, where they will be more independent, more self-reliant, and having their own technology, both software and also hardware. I see a more stronger Huawei moving forward. That's my person. And I think they will survive and come out a lot stronger.
Evergrande, China's second largest real estate conglomerate, recently launched its EV division, and this division quickly captured the investment interest from Tencent's Pony Ma and Alibaba's Jack Ma. What is the reason there?
I mean, I think if you look at what's happening on the technology on autonomous vehicles and electric cars, right? And also we are very thankful because we have got Tesla, who has made so much traction in terms of building up that business and also creating sufficient awareness that I think if you look at in China right now, there's so many companies, NIO, you named them. I mean, you just mentioned Evergrande, and there are so many companies that's actually gone into the space. And I'm not surprised that that companies like Tencent and even Alibaba would also want to make way into that space as well, because Baidu has actually started getting into developing autonomous car platform for the last couple of years. And in fact, some of the cars are already actually on the street in China. They are being better tested, and at the same time, in some area they are going live in a very short period of time. So I'm not surprised that that the Alibaba and also Tencent is getting into the space. It's a very hot space now, with at least 3 or 4 companies have gone public in the US, and I think there are more Chinese companies who are actually trying to get into that same space.
That is very interesting. I'm going to follow up on that because you talked about NIO. NIO is Tencent backs. And you talked about Xiaopeng, who just went IPO in New York. That is Alibaba backs. Why they are backing multiple companies, and every company is saying, well, it's only a matter of 3 to 5 years, we're going to beat Tesla. What is the reason there? I mean, is it EV industry that are competing with each other, or is it the Alibabas and Tencents that are competing in the EV market?
Ali and Tencent has always been an investor in all kinds of emerging technologies. They have been investing, so Xiaopeng and also NIO has been invested by these companies as well. And I'm sure they have also invested in others. It just so happened that it's more visible now because these 2 companies has actually gone public. But if you track down, right, Ali and Tencent has been making a lot of investment into several companies in all kinds of verticals, including electric car and also autonomous vehicles.
Tell us before we go, Alvin, you have a new venture as well, Magic Rainbow. What is this all about?
So I have been doing marketing for the last 15 years in China. And my last role is I actually run a digital agency for IPG. And I just left not too long ago. And prior to leaving, I have 2 co-founders who started, a business with me, which evolved around KOL, which is actually key opinion leaders. Outside China is always being termed as influencer marketing. So the KOL marketing in China is a very big business now, and it becomes a channel. In fact, a lot of companies right now, including brands, especially beauty brands, are actually working with influencers or KOL in China to actually help them to sell. So our job is actually, we work with a lot of brands, and then we also at the same time work with a lot of KOL. We match them together and create a program where it helps the beauty brands to sell on social media. So that's my venture that I'm actually working right now with my partners in Shanghai.